A wrestling free agent has reportedly turned down AEW. I'm going to tell you guys whether or not AEW should possibly change up the recruiting process. Also, on top of that, WWE possibly bringing back Stone Cold Steve Austin. And we're going to kick things off with MLW because we finally have some good news for MLW. Guys, my name is Ango. This is the channel where I bring you the latest news and rumors in pro wrestling. I bring you my 2 cents. I've also started bringing in some video essays and a little bit more variety. So if you guys like this type of content, go ahead and click that subscribe button. We're going to kick things off with MLW because we now know MLW Azteca is going to be coming very, very soon to television. In fact, we now know that MLW has announced that the debut episode of MLW Azteca will be January 6th at 8 p.m. on Thursday. This will actually go head-to-head with Impact Wrestling, which should be a very interesting night because I also enjoy Impact Wrestling. But for those who aren't familiar, MLW Azteca is the new spin-off part 2 of Lucha Underground. And this episode will be headlined by King Muertes, and we have Alexander Hammerstone against Pagano in a hardcore match. A lot of crazy stuff. Now, this event was already pre-taped in Mexico. We don't really know much about it. We do know that some people from, Lucha Underground are going to appear on it. But I'm excited about this. This is really good news for pro wrestling fans. Obviously, we talk a lot about WWE and AEW. As you guys know, I do thoroughly enjoy MLW and Impact. I also really enjoyed Lucha Underground. I really, really enjoyed Lucha Underground. And that's why, to me, I'm very curious to see what this is. Is it just going to be wrestling matches with different branding? Is this going to be a show that, kind of has like the cinematic elements that Lucha Underground had? That's what I'm concerned about. That's what I'm curious about. But for those who are looking at a true alternative to WWE and AEW, this could potentially be something bigger. This will debut on the YouTube channel and Fight TV. So it is going to be accessible for everybody. There's also going to be on BN Sports. So if you guys have BN Sports on your cable packages, that's going to debut Saturday, January 8th. So maybe what we'll do on this channel is we'll do like a live watch along. Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. Again, I like to bring you guys a variety, so just let me know. All right, guys, WrestleVotes came out with some very interesting news. He tweeted out today, he or she, I guess. We don't really know who WrestleVotes is, but WrestleVotes has broken some incredible stories. This one's very interesting. Talked to a few different sources this weekend and heard the same thing. WWE is very interested in having Steve Austin as part of WrestleMania this year in Dallas. Not in a wrestling role, but a meaningful part of the event outside of just appearing. Up to creative at this point. Look, Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of my favorites. I think it's a no-brainer to obviously have him at WrestleMania. For those who are watching this part of the video, and maybe you don't watch WWE, this could be interesting. The idea that Stone Cold Steve Austin possibly having some sort of creative role at WrestleMania, I think WWE needs a little bit more outside influence from the people that work there or have worked there. And I think people that are familiar with pro wrestling should be able to contribute to a pro wrestling product. It doesn't always have to be written by former TV writers and stuff like that. So, hey, WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, I would like to personally be there. Obviously, we don't know what the world is going to look like then with shutdowns and quarantines and everything. But if the opportunity to go to Dallas is there, I would like to be there. Even if you don't like WWE in general, I think WrestleMania weekend is just so incredible. And we know that there's going to be some independent wrestling shows that week. So I'm excited about that. It's something I always try to make part of the routine when I go. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin appearing would be great. If WWE somehow, I don't even know what this medical examination would be, but man, if there was a way for Stone Cold to just come back and have one more match, it would be crazy. I know it's not likely, but at the end of the day, that would be really awesome. Just me speaking as a fan, not somebody who analyzes pro wrestling on YouTube, but somebody who's just a fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin. If they can get him to wrestle even a tag team match, or you know what? I got an idea, WWE. You want to get people excited about Stone Cold? Make him a special guest referee. Just something different. That's what I would like to see. want to know what you guys think about that story. But now we have to turn our attention to the main event of this video. Ladies and gentlemen, Davey Richards came out with something super incredibly interesting that I felt like we had to talk about it. When speaking to Vicky Guerrero on her Excuse Me podcast, Davey Richards had this to say. I've been offered a WWE contract 3 times now. AEW reached out to me too, but I am a father, so being on the road that much is difficult for me. Plus, for me, I find out in my time in Impact, which was great, they treated me very well. I hate TV wrestling. What I mean by that is I hate wrestling 5 minutes. I don't like wrestling less than 15 minutes. It's just not me. It's not my style. Nothing wrong with the people who do it and do it very well. Obviously, that's where the money is. All the respect in the world. That's just not me. I like to get in there and tell stories and things like that. To do that, you can't really go to a big company and be like, I'm here to wrestle 15 minutes every night. Sounds good. See you later. Now, obviously, later on in this interview, he goes on to praise GCW. Right now, Davey Richards is also on MLW. But I do have one issue with what he's saying. Granted, yes, I know AEW doesn't really do squash matches too often. AEW is probably the one promotion more than anybody else right now that truly lets their people just wrestle. I mean, for crying out loud, Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page just wrestled for an hour. Now, that's my issue. I don't feel like we get a lot of short matches with AEW. In fact, when Wardlow just squashed Matt Sydal, it was like a shock to people that it just happened so quickly because typically AEW doesn't do these type of things. So with that being said, I'm not even really tripping about that. What I really find interesting here is AEW's recruiting process because obviously they offered him a contract. I'm not sure why they would have offered him to come in as a single star unless for some reason they had some interest in bringing Eddie Edwards in because obviously they had a former tag team. They were a great tag team too. It sucks that like when you look at the AEW tag team division, the fact that they're not there right now is just like unbelievable. And even that, the fact that we never even really got it in WWE is really insane too. But my feeling is this. AEW has signed former WWE wrestlers, Impact wrestlers, MLW, that type of thing, right? They brought in MJF from MLW. WWE did the same thing for a while, but now WWE is going back to what they typically do, and that is signing football players and athletes from outside sports and stuff like that. The real question here is, does AEW need to change their requirement? I'm not saying Davey Richards is a huge free agent by any means, but what I am saying is this. Wrestlers want to wrestle. And on top of that, when you're signing too many wrestlers in general, your roster becomes bloated. So is it a situation where maybe AEW can change their recruiting process? Do they have to change their recruiting process? As of right now, I still think this question is way too soon to answer, but I want to know what you guys think. Very interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. 3 stories every single day at the very minimum. We're bringing you daily content 7 days a week. My name is Ango. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.